Good morning, good afternoon. So this is an assignment that you guys have for week 4. I think it's actually the last activity you guys have to do, and it's solving a quadratic using square roots. That's what we're doing here. Okay, and the big idea is that when you have something and you square it, like let's say you have a little equation x squared equals 9, and you find you want to undo a square root, you want to undo a squared, you take the square root. Okay, so that's like kind of the big idea to undo a something squared, you take the square root. Okay, that's the big idea, but there's one more thing that we have to make sure we remember when we do this. Okay, we have to remember, right? There was a song like back in the day that had a line that said, "Can you remember?" Ooh, something like that. Okay, look it up. All right, and Miss Trainer knows it. So remember, I know it too. Remember, so we have to remember that when we take the square root, there's actually 2 solutions to this. Okay, that's why there are 2 answers. Okay, that's why it says the smaller x and the larger x. And this is why, because when you think about all the numbers that you can square and get 9, well, a lot of you would say, well, 3 squared is 9. Okay, and we know that because 3 times 3 equals 9. That's one way we could say we know that, right? We know this because 3 multiplied by 3 is equal to 9. All right, but there's also another solution, and the other solution would be -3 squared. So let's write that down. So if we take -3 and we square it, okay, we also get the answer, which is 9, because -3 times -3 is 9, and that's because we know a negative times a negative is what? A positive. I'm going to say is 9. Let's make it a real sentence, okay? Okay, so that's kind of what we have to remember. So when we take the square root of something squared, we have to add a plus or minus, okay? So when we take the square root of something squared, there's all these notes I'm writing down. I'm hoping you guys are finding a notebook or something to copy this in, because this is like really, it's like gold here, okay? When you take the square root of something squared, it is plus or minus. And if we were in the classroom, I would be repeating this so many times, and you guys would all be like, why do you keep saying that, Ms. Novick? Stop saying that, because I would be saying it so many times. When you take the square root of something squared, it is plus or minus, meaning that if you're solving a little equation and it looks like this, x squared, okay, equal to 9, and you say, oh, that's so easy, I can do that, I'm going to solve it out. And you say, okay, well, I'm going to take the square root of both sides. But here, look, I took the square root of something squared. That goes away. That's what I do. I like make it into a little house. See a little house right there? And then I say the answer is x is equal to 3, because the square root of 9 is 3, and x is equal to -3. You got to break it apart like that, because there's 2 answers for that. So let's go. Let's just do one more before we really get into this. Let's do one more. Let's do purple. Let's do it over here. Purple. Boop, 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 boop. We're going to do it over here, okay? Over here. So let's say this is the problem I gave you. I said x squared is equal to, let's do 100, right? X squared is equal to 100. So you would say, oh, that's easy. Okay, I wanted to undo a square. So to undo a square, to undo something squared, man, what happened? Did I cut off my work here? I had all the good stuff in it. So to undo something squared, you take the square root. I can't believe I did that. Okay, let me undo this. Let me just, okay, take the square root. Yeah, make sure you have this copied down up here if you don't. So to undo something squared, you take the square root. I wonder if that color will change. Oh, it does. Perfect. It's all red. So we want to take the square root of both sides. So we take the square root of this side and the square root of this side. The square root and the square cross out. See how they make like a little house? See it? And you end up with x is equal to, well, what's the square root of 10? So the square root of 100, this, I gave away the answer. The square root of 100 would be positive 10. But also the plus or the minus. So it's x equals 10 and x is equal to negative 10. That's kind of like the big idea when solving square roots. So let's jump over to this problem. This is one of the ones you guys had on your Khan Academy, right? And I noticed that some of you guys that attempted it, we didn't get all the way there. So we want to solve this first like a regular equation. Just pretend this is a regular old x. You want to undo this plus 7. So let's organize it. So let's drop our line down. And when you get a problem like this, you should be writing this down on a piece of paper, any type of paper. Sometimes, like if you look in the bottom of the screen right here, it'll have a little option to use like an ink tool actually on the screen. But that's what you should be doing because you're going to do better if you write it down. Okay, it's like that little Donald song, do better. Okay, so plus 7 minus 7. Okay, all right, that adds to 0, so that goes away, and the x squared drops down, and then you have 43 take away 7. 43 take away 7. I think that's 36. Okay, 36. All right, and then now you're just left with a problem that looks similar to what we started with here, okay, or what we did as this example here or this example here. So we remember to undo this squared, you do what? You take the square root. So you do the square root on one side, the square root on the other side. The square root on this side crosses off. See how it makes a house? And you're just left with x. Okay. X is equal to, now there's two answers here. See how they kind of give you that clue that there's two answers? So the take the square root of 36, and you want to think, what do I know about 36? I know. Right? I know that 6 times 6 is equal to 36. So the square root, and I don't have a pretty way to type this, of 36 is equal to 6. Okay, so I know that. So this is going to be 6 as one answer. X is equal to 6 as one answer. Okay, and x is equal to negative 6 is the other answer. So your smaller answer here would be negative 6, and your larger answer here would be 6. I would, before you close down this video, look at all these notes on here. This is like really important stuff. I would make sure you write that down and you understand it. And if you don't, please send me a message or send Ms. Trainer a message and ask us a question about it.